I'd like to take you 11 years back. It was a very long day, and the night was even longer. That day at the hospital, I met with a girl called Fatima. Like me, Fatima was 15 years old. Like me, Fatima enjoyed people's company. And like me, Fatima had dreams of what she wanted to become when she grew up. Only, Fatima told me that she no longer believed in her dreams. "How can you believe in anything after this?" she asked me. I did not have an answer. Only, I know that in that moment, Fatima has endowed my soul with a moment of epiphany. Fatima was married at 14 years old. She had to leave school. A year later, she carried her first pregnancy and lost her child. And now she had with her what we call obstetric fistula. It's an anomaly that makes it difficult for her to contain her urine. I sat back and thought, what if it were me? Child marriage is very common in Niger. 2 out of 3 girls in rural areas in particular marry by the age of 15. To the students sitting here, think of yourself. What can I do to give girls like Fatima the opportunity to live their dreams? When a girl is deprived of the right to attend school, the opportunity to achieve her highest potential, it's the entire community that loses. Where and how do we start? Do we build more schools? Do we force girls to stay in school? Do we talk to parents or do we talk to teachers? And who is we? The government? Civil society? Me or you? The problem seemed too big for a 15-year-old to tackle. But I didn't give up. I didn't sit back and say that there's nothing I could do. With 82 other young people, members of the Youth Parliament, we started a movement that went all around the country, all 8 regions, and to rural areas as well, to have campaigns where we talked with parents, we talked with traditional leaders, we also engaged with teachers to see how they could better support girls in school. I mentioned that we also engaged traditional leaders and religious leaders as well, and that was very important because oftentimes when we talk to parents, they justify their actions with religious justifications. Now, when we came in to lobby with the government, there was some skepticism. But over a few months, the Ministry of Child Protection started programs in all regions to tackle the issue. Now, while our lobby in public sphere allowed us to get the word out about the issue, our discussions with communities gave us a deeper understanding of the issue. I remember that in one interaction in a village in southern Niger, an old man asked to speak. And he spoke softly in a manner that made us listen with greater attention. He said, "Look, my child, this issue that you call child marriage has always been there. This is how things have always been done. This is how things are. And this is how things will always be." And to make me understand that he has experience, that he was much older than I was, he told me, "Before you started growing your baby teeth, I had already started losing mine of old age." I said, "You're right." Now, I'd like to ask you, the audience, a question. Do we have the right to challenge practices that a community has come to see as a fundamental part of its identity? Yes or no? The poll starts. Can we have the answer? Wow. So overwhelmingly, you said yes. Well, unlike you people in the audience that thought yes at 83%, I didn't really know where I stood then. Because getting a community to rethink some of its practices is complex and it's difficult. Change might start with one individual, but it requires an entire community to sustain it. And along the journey in my walk, I did several mistakes. I thought that if we made enough noise about the issue, then there will be greater attention on it. And if there were greater attention, then we would come close to a solution. It didn't seem to be the case. I also thought that if we went around those that opposed us, then we would move faster. It wasn't the case. We faced much opposition. And I also thought that if we isolated girls and empowered them, prepared them, then perhaps we'll see a fewer number of girls ending up like Fatima. Well, the numbers were still not going down. So what was the missing link? Why does child marriage persist despite various efforts? And this is a question that I'd like you to consider. Is it because parents are too poor? Is it because schools are not girl-friendly? Or is it because we fail to adequately involve communities? Or perhaps community leaders support that practice? Or maybe the girls themselves express interest in marrying early? Can we have a poll, please? So this is almost split up evenly between the fact that we fail to adequately involve communities, but also the fact that community leaders support the practice. And later in my talk, we'll get to see cases where community leaders have actually been at the forefront of the fight against child marriage and in support of girls' education. Now, what I found later, years later, as a consultant at UNICEF, was that when we start involving communities in discourse, problems that have remained stuck for years start to move. To engage with communities in a respectful manner allows for trust to be built. It allows for meaningful discourse. And discourse and trust are a necessary element for change. Here, I was with a group that they call themselves the Association of Mothers in Favor of Girls' Education. And this group has started as a result of the efforts that we have had. And within a few months, this model has spread to all villages surrounding Garingaja, which is this village here. And today, it's a successful group of women in those villages really supporting the girls and being there for them. And it has shown its results. To create unlikely alliances, we unlock opportunities for new type of partnerships in favor of the cause. Earlier, and I think about 34% talked about the fact that community leaders might be the ones backing this issue, and it's often the case. But here, because we have chosen to involve them, and because they saw that this is for the well-being of the entire community, religious leaders and supported us. And because they did, they embraced the idea as their own, and things moved much faster. And people in the community embraced the idea even better. To create and to nurture around the girl a group of supporters that I've come to refer to as social allies. Earlier, I talked about one of the mistakes that I have seen in my work, that we often isolate the girl as if she were a lone entity. Well, nobody stands alone. Everybody survives in a type of environment, and for a girl who's trying to defy a status quo, it is so important that she does get the type of support that she would need. And her immediate circle, these social allies, are key and important. We cannot do without them. And the more we have them around the girl, the greater success we will have around programs for girls' education. I'd like to have this girl, she's 15 years old. Her name is Zainabu, and she is in Garingaja, that's in rural Niger. And she speaks to us about her dreams for the future.
Des gens instruits et ils me donnent du courage et la volonté de devenir comme eux. J'aimerais être un modèle et que les gens qui me voient aient envie de faire comme moi.
Zainabu, like I said, is 15 years old. And unlike most of her friends who are already married, because she has had the support of her father in particular, she was able to continue her education, and she's still in school today. Like Zainabu, I believe in ilimi. Ilimi is a Hausa concept that my great-grandmother explained to me as the harmonious combination of knowledge, humility, and purpose. When there are possibilities, a young woman like me who once shared her primary school desk with 3 other students in a classroom of 108 can dream, believe in herself, and make it to Harvard University. I stand as the first woman from my country to enter the gates of this prestigious institution. I hope not to be the last. When there are possibilities, girls like Fatima or Zainabu can also dream, believe, and achieve. I'd like to invite you to look into this organization called DIMOL. DIMOL is an organization that works with girls like Fatima and get them to have surgery to repair their fistula. It also works with them on leadership skills and trains them to be entrepreneurs so that when they go back to their communities, they show a good example. You might think you're too small to start a movement or something that leads to systematic change, but you're not. I would like to call on here a mentor of mine, a remarkable woman from Cameroon, my mentor at UNICEF, who told me that if you had the right attitude and give it a try, it might just be possible. Thank you.